In a recent high-level meeting, Peshan delivered a blunt warning. War is coming. He said Israel, and possibly the United States, will almost certainly strike again. He even predicted another assassination attempt on his own life. According to him, Iran has already planned 5 to 6 steps ahead for every possible scenario, including the elimination of its own elected president. The purpose of that meeting was simple. Iran expects war at any moment. Sources inside Iran say the public is fully aware of how serious the situation is. Many believe the snapback sanctions, reimposed by the European trio after the U.S. tore up the nuclear deal, were the real trigger. These sanctions are sold as diplomacy, but in reality, sanctions rarely stay economic. They ignite resentment until conflict becomes inevitable. In plain terms, sanctions are war without bullets. Meanwhile, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov told TASS that Israel is actively preparing for a war with Iran, and that this may be Netanyahu's way of derailing the Gaza peace plan to save his collapsing coalition. Lavrov's sources warn that the next war will be far more violent than the last confrontation, and that Iran is much stronger than Israel assumes. Peshan also noted that although he represents a reformist, urban middle-class base that wants a more open society, even government critics in Iran united behind the flag after Israel's civilian killings. This is the key miscalculation outside powers keep making. Bombs don't topple governments. They unify nations through anger. That same flawed thinking led Israel to bomb Evin prison. Israeli strategists believed dissidents would interpret it as a message of support and rise against Tehran. But what actually happened was the opposite. The strike killed prisoners, social workers, guards, and families visiting their lives. Iran's most outspoken government critics condemned Israel's attack. What was meant to spark unrest instead strengthened national unity. This is the kind of delusion that turns strategic warfare into political suicide. Lavrov warned that if Israel attacks Iran, this will not be another limited clash. It risks pulling the United States deeper into the conflict and could trigger global economic chaos if the Strait of Hormuz is closed. That would not be a regional crisis. It would be a global economic shock. At the same time, Trump and Netanyahu appeared to have reached a tentative 21-point plan for Gaza, a plan that looks less like peace and more like a controlled takeover. Trump would sit at the top of the International Board of Peace, with low-level Palestinian bureaucrats at the bottom, and Tony Blair overseeing the Provisional Authority, essentially becoming the new Paul Bremer of Gaza. Hamas members would be offered safe passage to leave, even though Hamas won the 2006 Palestinian elections. Would every voter then be treated as a participant? Inside Israel, Netanyahu is weakening. His far-right allies, Smotrich and Ben-Gvir, immediately condemned the deal. Any real ceasefire could collapse Netanyahu's government, and Trump knows it, which is why he's openly frustrated. His bizarre suggestion that Iran could someday join the Abraham Accords only reinforces how detached the political theater has become. Iran would never join an arrangement designed for its submission. The only way that could happen is after regime collapse, which is fantasy. The contrast with Hamas is striking. Despite international portrayal of them as inflexible, they have repeatedly agreed to negotiations. They accepted the deal a week earlier and are willing to return all hostages under conditions already discussed months ago. Meanwhile, Israel keeps shifting the goalposts, even attempting to assassinate Hamas's negotiators in Qatar. So we're left with a reality few want to acknowledge. The side being labeled rigid is showing flexibility, and the side claiming to want peace keeps undermining it.